literally the synopsis of the show was that Miley is a regular girl that, she can't get a date and she has zits and, she's just normal. And that's not interesting. And she's not special because she's regular. And then Hannah is like, she puts on this drag, Hannah is like the tween drag queen. She puts on a wig and puts on her bedazzled jeans and she sings hit songs. And suddenly she has thousands of people chasing her and wanting to take photos of her. And every boy wants to date her. And so I don't know if that was completely healthy for this psyche as a young, impressionable girl to be, every day. And absolutely did my writers, they're teen comedy writers. Right. They're not Dr. Amen. Right. Dr. Amen might be sitting in the writer's room going, I don't know if this is positive. Like, you shouldn't reinforce this to her every single day. Like, maybe Miley should get a date with a hotter guy than Hannah gets a date with. Something that shows Miley she's more or as valuable as Hannah. So I think having that ingrained into my mind all day kind of made me create a character of myself of, the Miley that puts on the Hannah persona is more valuable than the regular me. And so that's why maybe part of me doesn't like to take photos out with people when I'm not in that drag, because I don't really want to be judged for my t-shirt and jeans, and then your second one was,
is it intuitive to change something, or is it strategic? Like, it's time to have a different
personal. So it's something happens in my personal life that changes me and I need to express it in my public persona, but I still want it to stay intimate and private to me.
Yeah.
So it's like saying something without saying something. It's almost like a signal, and I think that the way that I look or the way that I project is usually a sign of how I am mentally or emotionally. It usually is very obvious in the way that
interesting.
I present myself.
Yeah. I started to feel like a lot of emotion for you around what you were just saying about the Miley and Hannah and what you were taking in as a kid, and that you've processed all of that now. But I just am feeling for you in terms of what that must have been like in the space between having it happen and being able to be where you are now, where you're aware of it.
Well, something I really liked that I had heard you speak about was that actually when everything is happening isn't when you actually feel your worst. It's after. Because when you're in it, you can't really feel anything at all because you're surviving and like your body is taking over and protecting you. So I didn't even notice when I was doing it that it was happening to me. It wasn't until I quit being Hannah Montana that I realized who and what she was, and I could look at both of the sides of the positive that she brought to me and the negatives that she brought to me. And so, being on the show, I wasn't aware enough as a 14-year-old to go like, this is kind of not okay. This concept is probably not great for me personally. It's entertaining and it's a good show idea, but probably not great to nail into my impressionable mind that I'm unvaluable when and my name is Miley on the show.
Right.
So it's being actually taught to me.
Right. So double.
Right. It's not like a character because originally Miley on the show, her name was Chloe. And in hindsight, I'm really glad that I changed it because people feel like they got to know me by it being Miley, but it might have been better mentally to go home and be like, but Miley can be anything. Miley's not on the page.
Yeah.
Chloe's on the page. And maybe boys don't like her, or maybe she's less valuable, but Miley has potential to be absolutely anything because that's a blank page for me to write. But instead, my story was being written for me every week. And then scripts became newspapers and magazines became social media. And so in a way, my life has always kind of been written for me, which is why I had to become firm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't read something that's said about me and identify that or identify with that. You were talking about cartoons when the newspapers would draw cartoons of you. And I had a similar situation with me. In the beginning, it was, I used to get, I'm old enough and in this industry long enough, I used to get cartoons done of me too, but now they're memes.
Yeah.
And so I've had enough memes of me that, there was a couple that were about my body that was in 2013 and people were putting my head on, different, very unattractive things. And I still see that when I put on a bathing suit to this day. I wear you would never think, very modest bathing suits. And we actually just went on a trip. It was a whole girls trip and everyone else had on a string bikini except me. I was in like shorts. You know, I don't even know if people wear tankinis anymore. I was wearing like a tank top, like an old lady.
You're bringing them back.
I was trying to bring back. And my sister goes, you know, you're you, so this is cool. Like, I guess this is in now. You're making this cool. But like, you know, this is what like a grandma wears to the beach. Like, this is not. Yeah. And it just hit me like, oh, I'm still so insecure about those memes about my body.
But those, I mean, I understand that. And I feel that, you know, people, when they're behind a screen, they tend to disconnect from the fact that what they're saying or seeing is actually about another human being. And I really wonder.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah, it just is like, I get that. I have a list of whenever I get my photo taken, I have like a pre-done list of like, okay, here are all the things that I need to make sure for Photoshop, you know, clean this.
The chin, the eyes, the waist, the thing,
exactly.
because someone said at some point, your waist, your eyes, your, you know.
Yeah.
Well, totally.
Or for me, it's sort of a, you know, it might be like, oh, making, if I have blue on, making sure it's clean, like making sure there's not a speck of dust,
keeping your skirt longer, or any of those things.
All of those things. It just is, I think that it's hard for people to understand that it impacts a public person in the same way if you were having a conversation face to face. If you were saying this to someone you know, right? Which people wouldn't.
Right. Ever.
Like, no, ever. I mean, we're our meanest to ourselves. Right. But then it's just the kinds of things that people will say online are
It wouldn't really have the courage totally to say in person, because I think it's a courage thing as well. If you get this confidence and this courage because you are protected by the screen. And for me in the day-to-day, it's like, I don't want to be that on, like the courage that it takes, you know, that heart pounding, that adrenaline of like, I'm going to have to fight for myself right now. And so I'm glad that people stay behind their computers and they don't say it to my face. I'd rather that, but it's still equally as hurtful.